Sure. So I have to find my prep notes. Where is the doc? Sorry, I lost it. Can somebody reshare the, or where do we have the doc? Yeah, here. Okay, so thank you very much for all the people attending. So we are going to talk about the integration of OpenTelemetry in Jenkins. And in fact, I think when we mean integration in Jenkins of OpenTelemetry and observability in Jenkins, we have to think of the bigger picture, which is integration of observability is a continuous delivery pipelines of our Jenkins users. And I explain a bit better, a bit more later. Shall we start with a roundtable, maybe? So that we get to know each other. So my name is Cyril Leclerc, and I am a product manager lead at Elastic. I am covering multiple topics, including OpenTelemetry. On something like 9 months ago, I think, I started with my colleagues the OpenTelemetry Jenkins integration plugin. I am a product manager, but I also code. On before Elastic, I was working at CloudBees. On Jenkins, I was a maintainer and co-creator of the Jenkins Maven pipeline plugin. So it's also the reason why I wrote some code when I continue to write some code on the Jenkins OpenTelemetry plugin. More recently, I have done the Maven OpenTelemetry integration as well. Next, maybe Victor is next on my thumbnails. Do you want to introduce yours?
So I'm here with my little one, so you see her. Say hi. So
she's blurred though.
Yeah, a little bit. So I put the Zoom background. So my name is Victor Martinez. I work as software engineer at Elastic, more precisely in the productivity team. So I'm quite into CI/CD tooling. I've been using that tool for years and years, contributing to Jenkins for a while. And I've been working with Cyril a lot of in our free time to make this observability for Jenkins something that is tangible. Besides of working with him, I also enabled the integration with Ansible and OpenTelemetry. It's something now already published in the Ansible community, so it's there to be consumed. I'm interested to listen from different people's point of view, what the expectation, and to make something like it can be sustainable and helpful for people, rather than something like I believe it will be helpful. So it's worth to listen people's need as well. That's me, very much.
Okay. Next, I think is Oleg.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm one of Jenkins contributors and core maintainers. I'm very interested in observability topics. Well, for what it was, I'm author of Docker traceability plugin for Jenkins and a few others. I'm looking forward to expanding integrations, and yeah, I'm really interested to connect Jenkins and all developer tools to OpenTelemetry ecosystem, because yeah, it seems like a great project for all the application space. So looking forward to it, and yeah, I hope to do some contributions to OpenTelemetry finally. Okay, who's next?
Okay. Next would be, sorry, I tried to go Rungsha.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Rungsha. I'm working currently at CloudBees as product manager for CloudBees CI. So very much interested in following up what's the integration with and the enablement of OpenTelemetry in Jenkins. But I barely started, so I know not so much yet.
Okay.
Sorry, okay. Fixing the recording. So you should be able to record now.
Okay. Thank you, Oliver.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah, I just joined this meeting.
Let's see if we can get, here we go. So pipeline steps reference here. This is the enumeration of every plugin that provides a pipeline.
Care of his son. Okay. Okay, so I share my screen. I will do a demo. This is a very standard Jenkins application, a Jenkins pipeline. So here, this is a simple, sorry, I have to understand where I share what. I took a simple Maven application which produced a WAR file. I can show you the Jenkins file. It's a very simple, stupid Maven verify, and then I archive the artifacts. And we have integrated Open Telemetry on Jenkins. And so the way it works is at the moment it will push its observability metrics. It's a mix of these two settings. Jenkins will push its OpenTelemetry metric to an OpenTelemetry collector that will push simultaneously to Jaeger and to Elastic Observability. And it will also push the metrics, make the metrics available as a Prometheus exposition format. And we could also push to any other observability vendor, Zipkin, Lightstep, Honeycomb, Splunk, whatever, because it's just OpenTelemetry and it can distribute signals to many things. So when I run my pipeline here, you know the way a pipeline looks. Here is just pipeline steps. Here you have all the steps of your pipeline. And I will run them as, I will instrument them as an OpenTelemetry trace. And here, what I have done also is that the Maven build itself is instrumented. And when I look at what it feels, I prepared some, you will see here a Maven pipeline execution trust captured as an OpenTelemetry trace, and you can see the end-to-end build took 14 seconds. This I look at with Elastic, but I could also demo with Jaeger tracing. It's the same build, my WAR. I will show with Jaeger if you want, so that maybe more people are familiar. Here you see I'm building it's on Jenkins, and I'm building my WAR on the branch called Maven Hotel Extension. Then there is a start phase of Jenkins, the run phase of the pipeline. I have the agent allocation that took 160 milliseconds, so it's very helpful to troubleshoot agent allocation problem. Then I am on the stage called Git checkout. I can tell you that the Git checkout took 1.1 second. And then the build with a Maven package invocation that took 5 seconds almost. And then thanks to an integration we have produced between Jenkins observability with Hotel and Maven observability with Hotel, I am able also to integrate the step-by-step, goal-by-goal invocation execution of the Maven build. So you can see that the Maven build itself took 1.2 seconds. You can see that compiling took 300 milliseconds almost. And then the test took 100 milliseconds. On producing the WAR file took 500 milliseconds. So here you have the end-to-end view of the build. We could also show you some other examples where we integrate Jenkins pipelines not only with the visibility inside Maven builds, but also we have produced some Ansible integrations today, so that you view what's happening in your Ansible deployment. We are able to integrate another tool called the Hotel CLI, which is able to provide visibility inside standard shell steps. So maybe you have a make file. On you want here, you can see a curl is being executed, and it will create a curl span in my trace, and so on. So this is a hotel CLI catch-all capability, and we are interested in having more integration to have a broader, better visibility in the end-to-end process. And I could show you also, we integrate onto the openness of OpenTelemetry. We are able to provide visibility inside Jaeger. We are able to expose, we collect some metrics that we expose using the Prometheus exposition format. I think it's this one. Yeah. So here you can see all my Jenkins metrics if you're familiar with Prometheus. We integrate with various backends. So I think this is the idea of a demo that we wanted to share with you. So visibility inside Jenkins, as we have said, you see your pipeline execution as traces that you are able to compare from one execution to another, because I have all my traces execution here. So I can compare the duration. You can see that yesterday it took 18 seconds, when today it took, I think it was yesterday. No, it's today, the first one. When now it's 9 seconds. Integration with other systems, with other CI tools, DevOps tools that in which we have visibility. Something very interesting also is that with this Jenkins demo, Jenkins is not the only CI platform that provides visibility on its pipelines. On Concur CI, they don't capture a screenshot of this, and I don't have one here, but you are also able to capture the execution of your Concur CI pipeline as an OpenTelemetry trace, so that you can have similar visibility across your Concur's build on your Jenkins builds. Okay. So this was the demo, I think. Anything you wanted to add? Anybody? Oleg, Victor?
This for the demos, not much, just probably one thing about this. So everything is integrated as long as there's a context propagation. Within the Jenkins Open Telemetry plugin, every single transaction, a trace, is populated as an environment variable. So that's the way it's easily integrated with other systems such as Maven and Ansible, because in that particular step in the Jenkins pipeline, the trace ID and span ID will be there in the context. And that's how you can use those parameters, those particular inputs, and send to basically to the other distributed trace that is generated by Ansible, Open Maven, Gradle, or OpenTelemetry CLI. So that's pretty much how the integrations work.
Do I have, yeah, so is this, yeah, we discussed of this format as part of the OpenTelemetry specification. So it's environment variable called traceparent on trace state. You can see that many people, so we present this Maven integration, Jenkins integration, Hotel CLI integration, Ansible integration. There is a guy at Splunk who is working at instrumenting Gradle. He also integrates. And there are other people also working on this integration. So we see at the moment the creation of an amazing ecosystem of DevOps tools that support this integration on providing this visibility to CI/CD practitioners.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. And yeah, I believe that OpenTelemetry will be adopted quickly. I know that it still has a lot of stages to pass in terms of gradation, but ecosystem-wise, especially the traceability part, it's ready to go. For metrics and logs, yeah, it's a bit more complicated, but yeah.
Metrics is pretty stable. They have changed the APIs, but then the propagation format is stable.
Yeah.
And we have a very neat integration with Hotel, with the Prometheus world.
Yeah, and this is nice. So yeah, in my case, yeah, I played with this integration. One of the issues I missed in the current OpenTelemetry plugin was cloud API integration. Because yeah, in my case, many agents have been provisioned from the cloud, and it's much more difficult to understand what's going on there. So maybe instrumenting cloud API and exposing events.
For the agent allocation, to capture what problem is happening in the agent allocation phase, is it what you have in mind?
For specifically for cloud API, because cloud API is, well, it has a very interesting design, let's say so. So it's not really easy to map events happening there. Yeah, to cloud.
So I think, yeah, Victor has been working on it for a while.
That's nice. Do you need a Jenkins code modification for that?
Not much, but it's quite vague at the moment, the entry point, well, the listener for that cloud specific thing. So I give you some rough information, but not much. So we could, there are two problems over there. One is related to there's no proper listener for when the machine gets killed, and another one is a provision because the cloud provider detects some misbehavior. So yeah, it might require more tuning in the core to be able to get the most of it. Otherwise, in some cases, you might not be able to detect misbehaviors. Yeah, this is, yeah, I mean, definitely if we want to get the best of this, we might need to interact much more with the core to get this for free.
Yeah, I think one of issues is that in the Jenkins core, we still don't have concept of single shot agents. So agents, there are options to create them to some extent, but it's not a part of Jenkins core API. And it becomes a domain use case in cloud ecosystem at the moment. So maybe what we actually need is to create another provisioning engine, a mode within Cloud API. And for this mode, we can do much better tracing.
Indeed. Yeah, actually, when something was failing, if I recall correctly, when provisioning a cloud, one-shot cloud machine, used to happen 2 times the error for some reason. So then if you monitor metrics, suddenly for a failure, you had 2 failures. I mean, the counter was added twice rather than once. So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but in the agenda, it was planned to talk about the deployment model, the architecture. And here I feel that with cloud agent visibility, we are already in the ideas for next or the community discussions now. Shall we cover the deployment model for people who are not familiar with it? I think it can be super quick. So the deployment model is pretty lightweight. So there is an SDK provided by the OpenTelemetry community that we embed as a Jenkins OpenTelemetry plugin. And then your Jenkins with this plugin is capable to first to collect its observability signals, traces, metrics, and soon logs, to push them, and then to push them using the OpenTelemetry protocol, also called OTLP, to any OpenTelemetry capable destination. That can be either the OpenTelemetry collector, which behaves as a kind of relay, typically to send to other endpoints, or it can send directly to OpenTelemetry capable observability backends. So you can think here, Victor and I, we work for Elastic, so we have an architecture diagram with Elastic. Oleg works with Dynatrace on it as a replacement. It could be Dynatrace directly. Same for Splunk, same for the open source Zipkins, they don't have native support. You will have to go through an hotel collector. But all the ones that have native support for OpenTelemetry protocol can be the destination. Otherwise, a powerful architecture is to use an OpenTelemetry collector and to route to all the systems that matters to you. And I will show you a more sophisticated integration model that we have. I will take the vendor neutral one. Something very powerful that you can do with OpenTelemetry is that you can create a backbone of observability signals, typically chaining OpenTelemetry collectors, and you can chain them using Kafka. And so here you would collect your Jenkins and CI tools would send their signals to an OpenTelemetry collector, typically using OpenTelemetry protocol, but they support some others. Maybe the OpenTelemetry collector can scrape some Prometheus signals as well, and so on. And then you channel all this through a Kafka message bus, and you can use a chain with an OpenTelemetry collector that can then convert into the OpenTelemetry protocol with gRPC. And something very powerful here is that all your observability signals are normalized on in Kafka, and so any DevOps team can create its own integration, just connecting to the Kafka stream and collecting the observability signals. So collecting the pipeline traces on Jenkins metrics, for example, or logs when we implement them. So here I forgot to mention capture pipeline logs. Okay. Any question on the deployment model on architecture? So we can move to the FAQ. Any question?
So, well, I didn't have particular questions in terms of OpenTelemetry. I'd rather wonder what else we need to do on the agent side. But yeah, I'm not sure whether it's your agenda for today.
For me, here what we discuss internally with Victor, with Ivan, who is not here today, is initially we thought of two main goals, two problems we wanted to solve with this observability in the CI process. The first one was to help CI administrators to troubleshoot their platform, because troubleshooting a CI platform like Jenkins is very complicated. So this was the first problem we wanted to solve. On here, better visibility in the cloud agent allocation and lifecycle is typically this. The second problems we wanted to solve was to help developers, application teams who use CI, help them to optimize their CI pipeline. On here, maybe it's more improving the end-to-end visibility of the process, including not only the visibility in Jenkins, that is a solved problem, but also in Maven, in Gradle, in Ansible, in Terraform, in having good visibility in a Docker registry push, an Artifactory upload, and so on. Then for developers, we also consider the problem of improving the visibility on unit test to solve the problem of better identification of flaky test and of time-consuming test. Now, when we discussed with communities, we also saw that some people are very interested in solving the problem of cost accounting, because cost accounting on the CI platform is an important problem that does not have very clean solution for the moment from what we have seen. So here, correct us if we are wrong. On here, on your Jenkins build, as you know, every time you spend some time on an agent, because we track this time spent on a stage, we could provide all the data to implement cost accounting. So this could be something interesting to on here. All the data of cost accounting would be traces, OpenTelemetry traces, and we could imagine either to solve the problem of the processing the cost accounting inside an observability backend, maybe Elastic for us, Dynatrace for Oleg, or maybe with a DevOps tool that would just listen to the Kafka stream. And we could provide a kind of proof of concept to the community, to CI/CD practitioners, creating a proof of concept that would receive whatever Kafka streams or just OTLP that would receive OpenTelemetry gRPC traces, and that would do the computation themselves. And what we saw here is that cost accounting is probably difficult to productize as a vendor because the cost model of your build agent is likely to vary according to organization. On the way to associate a pipeline with a team is also likely to change according to the way you have organized your company. What we have seen is that this pipeline is associated with this team. On this team, then I can have a mapping with the business unit, the cost center, but then we have seen also a pipeline may be triggered by another pipeline. And if the pipeline, the pipeline of your team is triggered by another team who is building like crazy, who should be charged? It's an open question on. So here, if it's a DevOps tool that can be easily tweaked by practitioners, by DevOps engineers, maybe it's easier to solve the problem of cost accounting. Another problem that we have seen discussing with customers that could be interesting is the idea when you look, I will take Jaeger this time instead of Elastic so that we are vendor neutral, the idea to measure the productivity of teams. Because when you do your DevOps transformation, your digital transformation, organizations, they want to measure the efficiency of their team to produce software. They want to measure the improvements across time when they do their DevOps transformation, agile transformation, and so on. Typically, we have discussed with people who say, when I look at my CI pipeline, I have different phases, which are called stage, typically in Jenkins, which I can map to my business process, like the development build, like the QA phase, the security phase, the deployment to production phase. And so they are interested in doing some reporting on the CI process, on the CI/CD process, on capturing the build logs, the build traces, sorry, could be a very good data source for them. And so once again, we are in this model where we would produce the observability signals on a DevOps tool, who would look at all the Jenkins traces, just look at the traces that are stages on in an organization where you have standardized your pipeline. So we know ways to standardize CI/CD pipelines, Jenkins libraries, and so on. They would capture some well-known stages and remap them to the productivity reporting solution. So this is something that we identified as something interesting. As you can imagine, we discussed this with banks recently.
Can I just jump on this about this idea? I'm gonna say it will be nice about the implementation details. So the way we can map this, obviously, can happen by different means. You can go the more deeper as you can, go to the stage level, or you can go to the step level. It will be nice to have a way like the built-in step or this pipeline declarative could provide this a new signature, like you can add OpenTelemetry argument, and then suddenly you get this because you can provide, let's say, the stage build matches or map with the team, blah, blah, blah. But in order to do that, at the moment, it's not something like the plugin of the declarative or the Jenkins core provide at all. But if they could provide this, then we will benefit to to extend this particular metadata for free. It's like you run a cell step like interact with, I don't know, Docker registry. So then you would like to create this service map of my pipeline interact with a Docker registry as a third-party system. The only way we can do that is just tweaking or doing something fancy. While if the SH step could have an OpenTelemetry argument, by default, it means we can inject more metadata and create this information that is free. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if it's already integrated much more with the Jenkins core, we will be able to have more details easily.
And this is a conversation we are having at the moment on something that we have started to progress on which OpenTelemetry attributes. So the ability to capture more attributes, it's related to this, Victor, is this correct? This is the same family of solution, yeah. Where we would be interested in associated some kind of tags or attributes or labels as a pipeline level, or maybe at the stage level or at different levels in your CI/CD process. We could imagine Jenkins folder, Jenkins job, Jenkins job step, to be able to annotate with some attributes. On the conversation we're having at the moment is that should these attributes be OpenTelemetry specific, or should they be more generic? A bit like we see some attributes in on cloud providers like AWS. You can put tags. On Kubernetes, you can also annotate your stuff and so on. So it's a conversation we are, it's something we are exploring at the moment. On something that came to my mind about the semantic of Jenkins jobs to report on typically the velocity is what Jenkins X is capable of doing. As they are very opinionated pipelines, there is a release pipeline. If I remember properly, there is a release pipeline, the development pipeline, and so on. They are able to produce some reporting really on the team velocity. And the reason is they are capable of this, for me, is the foundation of Jenkins X, which is to say they took the Accelerate book, or I don't know which book they took as a, and they said Jenkins X will be the reference implementation of this book. A reference implementation of this book. And so here, maybe if Jenkins add more semantic pipelines, like a release pipeline, something that is formally tagged as a release pipeline, maybe we could also extract more data.
Maybe. Well, in Jenkins, technically, we could create some actions with interfaces, because yeah, it doesn't really matter what's inside pipeline, how it's written, but as long as there is metadata attached to the build, we can extract this metadata, right?
Yes.
So through Jenkins way, whether it applies in this case or not, would be to basically inject a persistent action to the build with some metadata. And we already have such actions, for example, for parameters, and we could create actions that just provide all kinds of deployment metadata and unify them.
There is something else I wanted to share with you. Yeah. Another idea. So yeah, instrumenting test frameworks. Here, we had something very interesting working on collaborating with the OpenTelemetry community. Here, for your information, we have donated the Maven OpenTelemetry extension that we have produced. We have donated it to the OpenTelemetry community itself rather than the Maven community. And something absolutely amazing is the support we got from the OpenTelemetry maintainers. And typically we got, when we donated this Maven Hotel extension, we got Ken Finnegan, who is a Red Hat engineer working on the Java Quarkus project, who immediately tested with the Jenkins with the Quarkus project, and he told us when he tried the Maven visibility on the Quarkus project, he got a Quarkus build is 17,000 Maven goals executions.
Well, Quarkus build, I'm quite familiar with that. Actually, they have something like 1,000 models in Quarkus repository.
Yeah.
So this number doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah, and so what we discovered here, I thought the problem we would face it with unit tests, but in fact we touched it already here, is the problem when you have too many spans, when your granularity is too fine-grained, at least for the visualization tools we have today. And so what I thought is that there is a big appetite to instrument unit test frameworks, because at Elastic, we generate a report of the top 10 filling jobs per week. On this, we want to provide the visibility of which test is failing the most often, is a flaky one, or is the most difficult one to not break, and so on. But if we integrate this trace visibility in the CI trace, then we are likely to be at risk of making it no longer human readable, and to break any pipeline trace visualization tool. So maybe if we instrument unit test frameworks, that could be very interesting. Then there are traces that we would disconnect from the pipeline trace themselves to not break the visibility on the tools as the tool support is today. Because yet 17K just for not even tracking a unit test. And if we think about the Jenkins core build, how many unit tests do we have? Many thousands. Yeah. So this was something interesting we learned. I think instrumenting unit test framework is interesting. Always for the persona of the developer, but there will be some challenges, because the way to visualize this will be maybe complicated.
So basically, being able to manage granularity based on the project size.
Sorry?
It's important to just be able to manage granularity of the reports. Yeah. Especially in visualization, but I guess the amount of data going to storage is also going to be a problem.
It could be, yes, the amount of details could be a problem, especially as observability tools as they are today are not prepared to be able to trash some signals, some spans. It's not easy to evict some span at the ingest time, because here we could say, I take my unit test. The unit test, I will the pipeline phases, I will capture them directly in my observability backend. But the unit test, I will reprocess them at ingest time. I will reprocess them to derive them into different things, which are time series per unit test, maybe something like this. And I will not capture them as traces. This could be some kind of processing happening on the backend side.
Question regarding this, Cyril. Could be possible, like the integration tools can say, if you're running a test suite, then create a new transaction.
Yeah, we could a disconnected one. Yeah, we don't do context propagation. We create a kind of second one. That could be an idea.
Right.
Idea to create a parallel trace just for a unit test.
It could happen as well for the Maven as well, right? Like the 10,000.
What we are
Maven
discussing with Maven at the moment is just to be able to disable the Mojo details. And when you look at the Mojo details, we have it here. I think that people don't care the Maven resource phase, the Maven compile phase. Maybe this is too fine grained for many people.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah, and to filter, we are talking about just disabling this level of granularity at the moment
in the parent trace, but then you go deeper to the other ones, right?
We just omit them at the moment is what we are discussing. Or maybe we would find an aggregation. If I remember in Maven, there is a coarser grain aggregation, which are the lifecycle phases of the build. Maybe it's the idea, but it was an interesting problem to see. Another topic that I identified, so OpenTelemetry APIs are alternatives to other ways to monitor an application. And today, when we look at the way to monitor Jenkins, how do I do it? I go to plugins.jenkins.io. If we look at the way to monitor metrics, does it work like this? There is a Prometheus metrics plugin is broadly adopted. And now we have a big overlap between the two, especially as OpenTelemetry can expose using the Prometheus exposition format. There is a question of internal competition, my plugin is better than yours and so on, which is not healthy, but otherwise, I guess that for the ease of use for Jenkins practitioners, it could be very valuable to that the OpenTelemetry Jenkins plugin would be a feature complete solution for metrics, so that it could be a kind of drop-in replacement to OpenTelemetry metrics, to Prometheus metrics plugin. I don't say exactly a drop-in replacement, because when we do OpenTelemetry metrics, we align with the OpenTelemetry semantic conventions. The names of many metrics in OpenTelemetry is standardized, like system memory utilization, system paging usage. All these are standardized attributes, standardized metric names. And the benefit is that whatever is the observability backend you integrate with, they will be aware of this metric name and its meaning, and so they will be able to provide the best visualization for it. So we could work at reaching feature completeness on monitoring metrics.
Yeah. So fortunately for us, we already have a lot of metrics being exposed.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing is to support the Prometheus exposition format, but its built-in is Hotel Java is capable of this. So it's very cheap to do it on adding missing metrics if there are. We try to cover many, but
yeah.
So this could be an idea of
add converter to metrics plugin, because metrics plugin is the head of Jenkins metrics ecosystem. So maybe it could just expose OpenTelemetry compatible metrics out of the box.
Yeah, so here's the decisions that we have done in the Hotel Jenkins plugin. Decided to not leverage Jenkins metrics plugin.
Any particular reasons to avoid it?
Yes. Hotel semantic conventions. Specify some names. most metrics names. And so we will need on metrics plugin uses the drop wizard API. Is it drop wizard or is it a not or metrics
drop
API?
wizard.
Hotel metrics API aims to be standardization. Metrics APIs. So here, yeah, as hotel metrics APIs, their goal, their vision is that they will replace all in every programming language. In Java, it would be micrometer APIs, on drop wizard APIs, and so on. It would be one layer on top of another on top of another. So here we have covered many metrics. On if when we looked at the existing Jenkins metrics plugin metrics, it's collecting way more than what we felt was useful for what we wanted to achieve. So we would have done like the Prometheus plugin to narrow down, to filter. So these are the reasons. It can be challenged, it can be changed, but this was what happened.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, so for us, yeah, it's a problem because we basically have two independent legacy systems, and eventually they should converge somehow if OpenTelemetry evolves like we expect. But yeah, for midterm, I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, but when we look at the sorry, this is not this one. It was pretty the way we do metrics. It's so small. In fact, it's few dozens of lines of code. So it was not difficult to bypass the metrics. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, metrics plugin is rather question in terms of API. So for example, if other plugins want to contribute to events and traces, well, yeah, traces is something completely different, but for metrics, it might be reasonable. So for example, if Cloud Starts plugin wants to contribute some metrics, currently it happens through metrics API. So whomever wants to do integration with OpenTelemetry would need to somehow implement it.
I think that sooner or later, every app have to revisit choice of metrics API, monitoring metrics API. Today we are typically on a micrometer or a drop wizard and so on, to consider migrating or to hotel metrics.
Yeah. Well, it could be some kind of a bridge. So maybe, yeah, it might be even a new API if needed. So it doesn't mean that you have to redesign completely, but yeah, you'll just need to figure out collocation of two plugins. I guess performance overheads.
A conversation I have had with Oleg some time ago, I think, where I said my feeling is that there is a lot of value for a project like Jenkins or every large project with modularity to standardize, to provide an SDK for contributors to instrument their application, collecting logs, traces, metrics. In the past, the SDK to collect this was very diverse. You had the logging framework, it was easy, it was standardized. But for metrics, maybe on some projects, it was drop wizard, some others, it was micrometers. Some now have decided to standardize on the Prometheus simple client. On For traces, we didn't have anything almost. On here now, we have OpenTelemetry is bringing a compelling solution because they package everything with a very nice delineation between what is an API used by application developers on what is the runtime implementation that the monitoring team is in charge of injecting, configuring properly, on channeling all the signals outside of your application to the right destination with the right architecture to channel the messages everywhere. Whereas here we could say that the Jenkins monitoring folks in charge of probably packaging their monitoring capabilities as a plugin, there would be a kind of center of excellence to enable every plugin author to instrument properly stuff, providing a lightweight on well-known popular SDK. And the SDK could typically be OpenTelemetry APIs. I think sooner or later, the conversation will happen in every large application on project.
Agreed. So yeah, maybe another thing which could be potentially discussed in terms of what's next, in Open Telemetry CLI, just standard agent images, because it might be reasonable to consider Open Telemetry CLI to standard agent images. So, for example, when you invoke shell step, etc., it can implicitly invoke Open Telemetry CLI. So maybe by some alias, it has to be opt-in, but generally it could be a good improvement, so that anyone who uses agents could get tracing out of the box.
Yeah. For me here, there is a broader question, which is what's the priority on if it's Jenkins admins troubleshoot Jenkins. On here, it's then it's typically the cloud agent lifecycle visibility. That is an important next step to improve the capability to troubleshoot Jenkins. But if it's more dev teams for pipeline visibility, then the priority may be outside of Jenkins. In other important DevOps tool. I call these DevOps tools. I don't know how you. So maybe a Gradle, NPM, all this. I think it's a question that we have is to make this visibility in Jenkins popular. We have to see where we have to. Maybe yes, it's there are more other dev tools that we have to properly integrate with Jenkins to really create the amazing value. So it's something I was interested to discuss with the community where we feel it's.
We are 3 minutes up to the hour, just in case there's something we need to wrap up.
So personally, I agree that the priority is elsewhere, because for the majority of build pipelines, it's just single invocation, and it's a bad practice to replace a build tool in Jenkins. So it means that many static analysis steps, build steps, etc., all of them will be inside the build tool. And for me, they totally support the priority on embedded tools.
To be transparent, at Elastic, our CI ops people or Jenkins admins people, they are asking for more visibility. It's correct, Victor? They are asking for more visibility in some critical phases of the Jenkins runtime, like agent allocation. Correct?
Yeah, maintaining the CI ecosystem might be hard sometimes. So they want to have more visibility and insight holistically what's going on at all levels. For them is when they apply new patches in the CI workers, they would like to have a visibility of what's going on in that particular process, or when there is a miss of, the work.
And we have not solved the problem yet with the way Jenkins OpenTelemetry plugin, with what the Jenkins OpenTelemetry plugin offers today. We have not fully solved this problem. It's correct?
Sort of, yeah. We just started to collaborate a little bit more, and we start putting more effort to have something in common. But yeah, as of today, we have not have an entire solution that works out of the box. Yeah.
Oleg, there is a Dynatrace engineer who contributed to the Jenkins OpenTelemetry plugin reporting problem. So can you get some feedback on how Dynatrace is leveraging this?
I cannot comment, mostly because I'm still not even employed by Dynatrace.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
I will be joining on November 1st.
Okay. I think it will be important to understand from real large-scale CI guys if we are really meeting their expectations, or if there are still gaps.
I agree. So I actually invited some folks from Dynatrace to this call. But yeah, maybe next time I will get together and see what else is missing. Yeah.
There's one topic we didn't discuss, and how we can integrate with the Google Summer of Code, the Jenkins remoting protocol with OpenTelemetry to the Jenkins OpenTelemetry. That could be something interesting to discuss. If the community would like to move forward.
So let's see what we can do. And yeah, we have some discussions on that. Right now, I will close the room because we're going out of time. But yeah, I think we need a separate session so that we deep dive into details.